This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We begin today's show in California, where Immigration Customs Enforcement agents detained and arrested a man who was taking his pregnant wife to the hospital to give birth. Joel Arrona-Lara was driving his wife, Maria del Carmen Venegas, to a San Bernardino hospital Wednesday morning for a scheduled C-section when ICE agents detained him at a gas station. Surveillance video shows two ICE vehicles surrounding the couple's car immediately after they pulled into the station to get gas. Maria del Carmen Venegas said agents asked the couple for identification, but that her husband had left his documents at home in the rush to get to the hospital. ICE agents then handcuffed him and took him into custody, leaving the 9-month pregnant Venegas at the gas station sobbing in distress. She then drove herself to the hospital and gave birth alone several hours later. ICE said in a statement, Joel Arrona-Lara was detained because he's wanted in Mexico on homicide charges. But Arrona-Lara's lawyer says the charges are unconfirmed and that he has no criminal record. Videos of the incident circulated online over the weekend, sparking national outrage. But ICE issued a statement saying, quote, ICE will no longer exempt classes or categories of removable aliens from potential enforcement. All of those in violation of the immigration laws may be subject to immigration arrest detention and, if found removable by final order, removable from the United States. Here's Maria del Carmen Venegas speaking about her husband's detention from the hospital.
It's very difficult because he's always been there. And he told me that everything was going to be okay, that I shouldn't worry, that we were going to meet the baby, things like that. So to be alone yesterday, as I was, I felt terrible.
Arrona-Lara and his wife have been living in the United States for 12 years. They have 5 children, 3 of whom are U.S. citizens. Arrona-Lara is the sole breadwinner for his family. His wife, Maria, is asking for his immediate release. For more, we go to Russell Jauregui, staff attorney at the San Bernardino Community Service Center, lawyer for Joel Arrona-Lara, Maria's husband. Welcome to Democracy Now! Russell, can you start off by explaining exactly what took place last week?
Well, what happened on August 15th, Wednesday morning, about 10 o'clock, was Mr. Lara was taking his wife to the hospital because she was going to give birth to a baby via C-section. They stopped at a gas station in San Bernardino on the corner of Mountain View and Highland. It was an ARCO station. He got off to get gas, and immediately they were surrounded by 2 SUVs. ICE agents then approached his wife, asked for her ID, which he produced, and then the ICE agents approached him and asked for his ID, which he did not have because in the haste of leaving his home to get his wife to the hospital, he just forgot it. And so his wife pleaded with the officers to allow him to go home and to get his ID because, in fact, they live just right down the corner from the gas station. He was not allowed to do so. He was immediately arrested. And as you said, she basically panicked and had to drive herself to the hospital. And that's basically what happened on that day.
So both she and he had ID, had a form of documents.
Correct. He had some kind of form. We don't know exactly what kind of ID that he had. I'm guessing it was probably a driver's license here in California because here in California, all people, including undocumented, have the right to apply for and obtain a California driver's license. So he may have had a California driver's license. He may have a Mexican ID. So he did have a form of ID, but they did not allow him to go and get it. And he just lived down the block from the gas station. So
Maria drove herself to the hospital. And she gave birth a few hours later?
She gave birth, a few hours. I don't know exactly when, but she did give birth to the baby, and the baby was born, thank God, safely. And she was released from the hospital just this last Saturday.
So she was alone when she gave birth?
Yeah, she was without her husband, correct, and the baby's father.
We see her inside the gas station. It seems hysterical, speaking on the phone just through the closed-circuit, video.
Right.
So can you explain why ICE has said they picked him up?
Well, at first, he was just arrested for not having an ID. And it wasn't until Thursday, almost 3 days later, where they made the statement about them detaining him because of him having an arrest warrant in Mexico for a homicide. Well, number one, he's been here 12 years, and this has never been an issue with him before. Number two, he completely denies that, saying that I've never had any kind of arrest warrant in Mexico. And number three, we have reviewed the charging documents from him from the ICE agents, and it just basically the charging documents allege that he came without status, that he's from Mexico, and therefore he is removable from the United States. Does not mention anything about any kind of homicide arrest in Mexico. And since he's been detained, what he tells me is no one's ever brought this to his attention.
So what rights does he have right now? Where is he being held?
He's being held at the Theo Lacey Detention Center. He does have a right to a bond hearing before an immigration judge and immigration court. He does have the right to counsel. We're going to represent him pro bono. He does have the right to pursue a bond hearing to determine if he can be released. We're hoping that he can, given his length of time here in the United States and the fact that he does have 3 U.S. citizen children. And then if he is hopefully released on bond, then his case will continue with the immigration courts, where he'll be pursuing his hopefully relief during a removal hearing before an immigration judge. We'll have to prove that his U.S. citizen kids will suffer exceptional and extremely unusual hardships without him if he's removed. So this process could take 1 or 2 years.
Has he gotten to see his infant son and his wife?
No, he has not. I know he's been in touch with his wife, but he has not been to see his son. So our main goal is to get him released so he can be with his family and see his son. That's our main goal right now.
Is it possible he would be deported before seeing his son?
I don't think that's I don't believe that's going to happen. His wife, she's a family member, so she does have visitation rights to see him. But right now, given her condition, because the baby was just born, I don't think she's in a condition to go see him right now.
Was this issue of a homicide charge brought up after the outcry grew over that day and the next day when people saw the video?
That's a very good question. I think yeah, it was. It was. And so the timing of this is kind of odd because this happened, I believe, after the video went viral, after the public outcry. And so that's when this announcement was made on Saturday, which is almost, 3 days after he was arrested.
Zero tolerance. Is this under the zero tolerance policy? And can you see this policy changing?
I think this is more zero tolerance is what's happening on the border with the unaccompanied minors. This is more, I think, of the Trump administration's policy of basically everyone now being at risk of anybody here without status is being at risk of being detained and arrested. But as you can see, this has human consequences. It affects, U.S. citizen kids. There's nothing. I don't think ICE has any protocol for dealing with people who are transporting their spouses, who are about to give birth. And so, as we can see with other situations, this reminds me of the case where I think it was a young girl who was passing through a border checkpoint in Texas, who had serious disabilities, and ICE followed her all the way to the hospital. And this is like the children at the border who are being detained, separated from their parents with no plan for reunification. This is egregious acts, and they're cruel. And so there needs to be some kind of change in policy, and if not, some change in administration.
I want to thank you so much for being with us. Russell Jauregui, staff attorney at the San Bernardino Community Center. He is the lawyer for Joel Arrona-Lara, who was picked up by ICE agents as he was driving his wife to the hospital to give birth. This is Democracy Now! When we come back, another immigration story. Then we remember longtime peace activist David McReynolds. He ran for president twice. Stay with us.